Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Burn.
And this is Rye, and you are listening to the Bodacious Rant with the lovable and adorable Bernard Rye.
Yeah.
Man, it's been, like I said, quite a week, a stellar week, as you might say, with the movie news and another fantastic episode of none other than The Mandalorian season two,
Mhm.
which I think they're still sticking with 8 episodes. So if this is any indicator, this was another build up towards the finale, which sounds like it looks like it's gonna be epic of all
Yeah,
means. But before we start talking about what did you think of this episode, this last one, The Believer?
I really enjoyed this episode, actually. With it being the penultimate episode, I was kind of expecting a lot more to happen, but with what we got, I was really, really entertained by it, and I thought it did a really good job of setting up the stakes for the last episode, coming in this coming Friday. And I thought there was a lot of really, really good character work here, a lot of payoffs here for the character development for Mando in particular. And I really did enjoy that. The overall aesthetic of the episode was really cool too. Again, this season just keeps managing to give us a lot of visual variety, which I've been really enjoying. Something that we didn't get much of in the first season because the first season I think was a little bit more contained and a little bit more of an introduction to the characters and maybe didn't have as much of a budget as this season does because again the variety and the locales that they've been going to in every episode this season has been fantastic and never the same. So I'm never bored of like just looking at the show. So in that aspect, I think it continues to succeed this season. But yeah, I mean, overall, 4 out of 5 for me if I'm going to give it a rating. A lot of really good. Some of in particular, one of the best dialogue moments for me, like one of my favorite moments of dialogue happens in this episode. So that's what I'm gonna leave it to over to you, my friend. What did you think of this episode, The Believer?
I really liked it. I thought I was kind of like you, same mindset. I was expecting a lot more to happen just because the way the season's gone so far. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't caught up with it until we get to our spoiler moments, but I was expecting a little more to happen. Not that this episode wasn't action packed. It just was. It was definitely another build up. Not necessarily filler, but it's a step towards the finale. And yeah, it kind of brought back some recurring themes that we've seen in the first few episodes of this season, especially where it really just makes you question what what's best for the galaxy overall. Was the New Republic a great route, or should the Empire have maintained its order? Essentially, it's not. I mean, how do I put it? It's basically just it makes you think like what was really the best way to go about everything, and kind of makes you question who does it all benefit. And yeah, like you said, great character payoffs, especially for Mando, and then a returning character from last season who was played by Bill Burr, the hilarious Bill Burr. And
Yeah, Mayfeld.
exactly, I will say it's kind of nice seeing Bill Burr doing more outside of his like comedy and stuff because I know he hasn't done a whole lot, mostly stand up and then maybe small parts in comedic films. But it's kind of nice seeing him in Star Wars just because he plays he's still funny, but he plays a very different kind of character in Star Wars. Basically, the character you would think you kind of would expect, but at the same time, it's a nice change up for him where he's like a criminal and ex-imperial. So it was good seeing him in that, and again another great development for Din Djarin, aka Mando, and yeah, like I said, again, and like you said, I do agree with you. This season has definitely given us much more variety in tones for each episode, like coloring and style. Yeah, I think they decided to with the budget, they probably just told the directors, you know what, if you guys want to have fun with it, change up the colors a little bit. It doesn't have to have that consistent tone. Like as long as the storyline and the characters stay, pretty true to themselves, it really doesn't matter, and that's what they've done. So props to Favreau, Filoni, and all the directors. This one was directed by Rick. I can't
Rick
pronounce his last.
Famuyiwa.
Famuyiwa. Okay, cool. I kind of
Yeah, he wrote and
bogged
directed
it.
this episode.
And he wrote it. I didn't really see that. I just saw that he directed. But even then, that's just they have A-list talent directing these episodes, and it really
Oh yeah,
shows, especially this season. So
yeah,
I, because it's like it's such a great, another fantastic visual episode, and it was definitely great character development. I'm gonna give it like a 4.5 out of 5 within that range, just because. Again, I expected more to happen. I was kind of hoping it would go in this direction, but it didn't. But at the same time, it was still a great episode nonetheless. So yeah, I'll
yeah,
give it like a soft 4.5 out of 5, and then like a hard 4. So between that range.
yeah. Again, same. Four out of five for me. Rick Famuyiwa, who directed the child episode of this episode two of the first season, and then the prison break episode last season that also introduced Bill Burr's character. So that's kind of nice. I like how he brought him back to work with him. I guess him and Bill Burr have a pretty good relationship. But yeah, I'd like to speak on what you said a little earlier about Bill Burr. I think this is some of the best acting he's done, and in the scene that I'm going to talk about, when we get into spoilers, yeah, I'd never seen him with that level of acting before. So to see that come from Bill Burr was really really cool to see. Like again, he's just I'd only know him really as a comedian. The only other movie I've seen him in was the King of Staten Island with Pete Holmes earlier this year, and he was really good in that one. But that one was again a little bit more of a comedic role, with a little bit of drama here and there, but more often than not, it was very comedic in nature. And then it's just so different to see him with what he does in this episode in particular, that I'm glad that he's back in the Star Wars universe. I didn't think after his initial introduction to the show, I was like, okay, he's a fun character, but he's probably just a one-off. And the fact that we got him back and we got another dimension to him is just a real credit to Rick Famuyiwa and his writing, where I think he does a really good job of bringing a real personal element to the episodes that he's directed. I think he does a really good job with the character interactions and adding depth to the Star Wars universe. And I really hope that he does get to either make a movie or a series of his own, because he's gotten to show that with him working on the Star Wars properties, I think he deserves to have his own thing that he could work on, because he's done such a great job with 3 episodes that he's directed.
Yeah, I was about to ask how if was he on the more serious side in King of Staten Island, but it sounds like you basically answered that he was still like more comedic than anything. So that that
Yeah,
that answered that for me, because I was gonna say like I know that movie did really well, so I figured that one would have been more directing. But anyways, like I said, yeah, I wonder if we'll see more of him after this one. We're gonna get into that in a little bit, but he's definitely one of those actors that I'm glad he's not just a one-off. I'm glad that we got to see him again and see him in action, even though I think he had a better action debut in the Prison Break episode last season, where he had his blasters and he had that extra like animatronic arm with the blaster on it. Like I thought that was pretty cool. So hopefully we'll see him again do that. But shall we get into the spoiler section of this episode, Burn?
yeah, let's do it.
All right, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, as usual, if you don't want to be spoiled, this is the time to switch off or just speed up to the very end of this episode, so we can give our like last impressions or anything like that. But if you hop off now, we'll see you guys next time. Let's get down to it, Burn. Uh, so that first scene of this episode where it was kind of funny that we see him. What was it? His character's name is Mayfeld, you said?
Yeah, Mayfeld.
It's kind of cool to see him on a prison planet. Like he's not being rowdy. He's just doing his job. Like okay,
Mm-hmm.
like just he is actually being like a decent prisoner, I guess, if there's any good term. Like he's just doing his work, minding his own business, and then Kara shows up, and so I could totally understand his reaction. He's like, well, where am I going? Like I don't want to just go. Like is she gonna kill me right now? Like what's happening?
Yeah.
Like he's not stupid. He's just paranoid. And then again, when you just see Boba come out of Slave One with Fennec again, Boba's look looks so much better now, like all cleaned up.
Yeah.
Oh man, they definitely gave him a new paint job, or at least polished up his suit this time, and it looks fantastic. It looks better than the originals. I will say that without a
Yeah.
fact. It's better.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree. This is like again like the nice and polished look for his armor. It's all cleaned up now, so it looks all brand spanking new. And just that armor over his like black robes that he was introduced in this season with. It's such a cool look. And again, the show continues to redeem Boba Fett for me.
Oh yeah, like I actually I'm watching the episode right now, and I actually went back to the very beginning just because I have to look at that armor. I remember when I was first watching it the other night, I just thought, oh my God, like, because I remember in the last episode, I was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about the black robes. I'm kind of used to like seeing Mando and then his old look where he had just like a sleeker uniform underneath, and so I was like, I don't know, it looks a little, but it's also because his armor is just used beyond belief. It's still a bit of an antique. It was still dirty, so I think that kind of add on to it. But seeing it polished and fixed up, his robes are a little more like fashionable fitted underneath. I just thought, damn, Boba, I take back everything bad I said about you, especially what we saw the suit do in action last episode. And now we just see him all cleaned up. I thought, I need a hot toy. He needs his own show with Bo-Katan. Just do a whole Mandalorian. Honestly, that's what they should have announced that. I'm sure they'll make one after this show's done, like another Mandalorian universe show. If it doesn't end with Din Djarin, it needs to keep going with one of these characters.
Yeah, definitely. Either they should get their own shows or their storyline should weave into this show. Whatever decision they make, I don't care. I just want more of them.
Yeah, and he got his signature rifle back too, which I thought was pretty cool, like from the old movies,
Yeah.
just because he didn't have that last time. So it's kind of cool to see him back in action and then working the good side, essentially, Din Djarin side. So, Team Din, let's get it this episode.
Team did.
Team Din, Team Djarin cookies. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Hashtag unified. Hashtag clean. Hashtag
Hashtag
green.
hashtag win with Din.
There we go. But I thought it was very interesting how they brought him back just because because I guess he was an Imperial. I kind of forgot if they talked about that.
Yeah, he
And
was an Imperial sharpshooter.
okay, so did they mention that in the last season? Because I don't remember that.
Yeah, they did.
Okay, they did. Well, that's just I haven't seen that episode in a while, so that was a nice reminder. And again, Kara just with hatred towards the Imperials, like she hates anything Empire related, kind of like how she hated Nick Nolte's character last
Mhm.
season, which I can't remember for the life of me. But yeah, that's what I loved about this episode. As much as she keeps hating these guys that were ex-Imperials, they continuously prove her wrong and prove Mando wrong. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But again, I just kind of like how he first saw Boba and he's like, oh, I thought you were this other guy. I know, like, whew. And then he just comes down, he's like, oh, shit. Like, his face is just perfect. Like, damn it. I see you
Uh-huh.
again. You're the one who got me here. I hate you.
Uh-huh. You're the reason I'm here, dude. I don't like you.
And he's also paranoid because he's like, shoot, what if he's gonna kill me right now? Which is, it could have happened, but thank God it didn't. And again, like it really, what this episode also highlighted, character development wise, how you mentioned earlier, was the lengths that Din is really going to for Grogu. And because we've seen him, he this season, like we've talked about in past episodes, is that he's really grown more attached to Grogu, and we see that like father and son relationship, growing with him. And when they said, "Oh, well, you're gonna have to scan your face," my face is ex-imperial, so they'll recognize that's a lie. Kara's an ex-drop trooper for the shock trooper for the rebels, that won't work. Fennec was like, "I'm wanted by every ISB also," and Boba's just said, "I'm good, and I'm wanted to." Like, it's kind of like, God
Yeah,
damn it, why do you guys all
they'll
have to be
recognize
criminals?
my face.
Like, why do they all have to be like criminals or known in the galaxy kind of thing?
I
But
know.
oh man, but again, that shot of just him close up on his helmet and how he's just saying like, I'll do it. I know how. Like, it's like, really, you're not supposed to remove your helmet, but I thought did Bo-Katan kind of convert you a little bit from the Death Watch? Are you kind of learning that it's okay to be without your helmet? Like, especially because Boba, he's been without his helmet half the time too. So, you know, we're I think the Bo and Boba are really kind of showing him that to be a Mandalorian, you don't necessarily have to be part of the Death Watch. You can just, as long as you follow your code of honor, you wear that armor with, pride, that you've earned it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's just been a running theme this entire season of Din's his character journey. Again, it's just him becoming attached to Grogu, and now his ideals are being tested because of it. How far is he willing to go, and how far is he willing to break his own code to save this thing that he loves? And we've been it's been the seeds of doubt have been put into his mind throughout this season, and finally with this episode, which I was mentioning earlier, we're getting the payoff of that. Now that he's desperate to find Grogu, he has to essentially strip away the outer shell of what he believes to be a Mandalorian to save this kid. And just the visual representation of that in this episode, from him taking off his armor and putting on the stormtrooper armor, and then just how he looks in that armor, like a little more leaner, and he feels like almost naked, kind of,
Mm-hmm.
with that armor on. And then again to later on when he's on that console and has to remove his helmet to take a face scan, that's something that he would have lambasted himself, for doing that, because of just his dogmatic belief in not removing your helmet. But now we're getting to see that, like Mayfield said, like we all have our lines, and we're when we're desperate, we cross them, and that's where Din as it is at this point.
Yeah, exactly. I love that line he kind of jabbed at him with. He's like, well, it shows that you're desperate like the rest of us. Like that whole little conversation they had when not only they did that awesome Western action scene of just these pirates trying to destroy their, tank carrying that material. I forgot what the name of it is, but it's that extremely flammable stuff. And again, I just kept thinking like it's almost like they're riding a wagon full of gold, and these robbers or like natives are trying to destroy it just to like say "f you" to the Empire and you guys. I thought that was a really well done scene, and it was so
Hmm.
fun just because he's fighting with the stormtrooper armor, his blaster jams on him or just stops working. He's like, "Oh, come on, like let's keep going."
Yeah.
And then at one point, just looks like I give up. I can't keep this. Even I can't keep this going. This is not my armor. And that really showed too. And these pirates are beating the shit out of him. And he's just thinking like, damn it, this isn't Beskar. I keep forgetting. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that's right.
But that scene also right before all the chaos started was when they go through that village and they're all the villagers are just scowling at them.
Hmm.
And I love that line where it's just, Empire, Republic, doesn't matter to these people. Like it really that's what made me think like, man, this season really just does not stop showing this show in general, but this season specific also just does not stop showing that without the Empire, plenty of planets still didn't benefit. They actually got worse. Like what we saw with Mos Pelgo, even though Cobb Vanth basically brought it back from those miners, it still is like a rundown city, and that they could never really be they never reached their salvation completely. And then this planet Morag, which I thought was like, oh, it's a Guardians of the Galaxy kind of, like throwback to that a little bit, a nod to that these villagers are still just living in squalor. They're under the rule of this rogue imperial base that it sucks. And Bill Burr, even though he said like I was under the impression with Mando, like we are not the same. You're an imperial and like you're a scumbag. You
Yeah.
don't try and say we're on the same plane. But when he was talking about the villagers, it's like I understand. Like I fought on that side. I didn't want to, but you do what you got to do to survive. And I guess I had to survive. He had to survive with the Empire, so it was kind of bittersweet. So I kind of kept thinking like, nah, he's still a bad guy. We're gonna see that in uh in the episode later. But yeah, and then after they get to the Empire, that base, and they're like, okay, fine, we got that over with. We got to get the face scan going. Let's get it going. Um, yeah, when Din just had to take off his helmet for it, that was a huge moment for him. Just because, again, he's kind of almost forsakening what he believed in, especially when you are desperate. He knows he's desperate, but for Grogu, he's willing to do what's necessary to get him. Like he'll kill everybody if he has to, and taking off his helmet and I get Pedro Pascal does such a great job of really showing the emotional like trauma he's going through by taking it off and letting people see him like oh I don't feel right, this isn't right, like
Hmm.
almost like anxious look. And when that one actor who was the Night King in Game of Thrones and in Doom and Kingsman, he just comes over, is like, "What's your name?" and just kind of like badgering at him for
What
whatever reason.
was he also what's his name? He was in Batman Begins, right? As the guy
Yes,
who Joe Chill.
yeah, he was
That's him,
Joe
right?
Chill in Batman Begins. Yeah, I don't know this actor's name, but he's a good actor. He's a
He's
nice
good at playing
little.
scary people, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he was a Night King for a little bit, so that's cool. He just plays a lot more smaller parts, even though in Doom, which was did not do well, he was more of a sleazy character in that,
Oh, that's right.
but that's neither here nor there. I just thought again, he just has this face like, yeah, like how you said he felt naked in the stormtrooper armor. This one, he just felt completely vulnerable to anything, and it's kind of funny because it's like nobody knows who you are. You're okay. And Bill Burr's Mayfield is just kind of like, even he was looking at him like, this is a little weird. Like I'm used to seeing the helmet on you. Like maybe you should put it back on, kind of thing. Um, but that next part, I'll let. How did you feel about the little their drinks with that Imperial officer? Like I want to get your opinion on that. Your description.
Yeah, I mean, before I get to that, I want to go back to what I mean, the action sequence that we had with them being chased in that big transporter by all those pirates and stuff. I thought that was a really cool action sequence, like you did, and just the fact that it was kind of like a Mad Max slash like Western chase slash Vietnam thing slash Star Wars. That was I thought that was like really cool and a really fun sequence, and just have it end with them being greeted by all those stormtroopers at the base was a really different sight. And again, it really plays into what this show in general, and also what this episode in particular is doing, like you said, is adding a little bit more gray to the Star Wars universe. And it's something that that also I really enjoyed that the Last Jedi did, is that in before, and the original trilogy, it's very black and white. Like the Resistance, or the rebels against the Empire, and you have your good, you have your bad, and there's like they're clearly defined. And like you said here, when we see those villagers and we see the people, you just see it's like no, it's like to them, both sides are bad because they're just caught in this war between them, and they're the ones at the end of the day suffering for it. And again,
Exactly.
that's what I really enjoy about this show, and just like again, like this episode in particular, it's all summed up by that line that Mayfield says. Another great line by him. Bill Burr had a lot of really good lines in this episode, but where he
Hmm.
says, as long as you can sleep at night, at the end of the day, you're probably doing better than most. And I thought that was a really good line that defined, that hey, dude, this is a war. Star Wars. We didn't really think about the war part of it, but just the fact that that the show, and it seems like that what the movies were trying to do, or at least the Last Jedi in particular, was to make us consider that, at least, that this isn't just fun and pulpy, although it is very much so, but that there is a little that there are trying to add a little bit of weight to this universe.
Yeah, and I think also real quick with all the expansion of all the Star Wars universe shows that are coming to Disney Plus, like Patty Jenkinson's film Rogue Squadron, and then those New Republic officers. I forgot what that show is called, Rangers of the New
Yeah,
Republic.
Rangers of the New Republic. Yeah.
I think it's definitely going to start exploring the sides. And that's what I loved about Clone Wars too, is that it wasn't just
Hmm.
about the Jedi, it was more about the clone troopers and how they were humanizing them, where they loved the Jedi. They fought with the Jedi. They were brothers in arms, but then when Order 66 happened, just pure genetics and, science kind of took over and they just were like flipped, like, okay, well, they're all against, you know, the Empire, so we got to kill them now. Even though they
Hmm.
didn't want to, we saw with Rex and everybody. So I'm kind of glad they're doing that. Like as much as I love seeing stories about the Jedi and the Sith and the Mandalorian and other characters like that, it is nice to expand that to where it really is about the wars themselves and what the people on both sides are fighting, you know. So that I agree with you on that one, that it's a great exploration of other characters and other points of view within Star Wars, not just those on, you know, fighting essentially for politics and stuff like that. It's definitely metaphorical for like what's going on now and like especially
Hmm.
modern warfare, what's been going on for like last 20 years.
Yeah, yeah, it's not like the, Axis and Allies anymore. Again, like you said, it is more comparable to, the wars that happened, like you said, in the last 20 years, which is really good. I really like it when, big franchises like this can have a little bit of social commentary in there. A lot of people don't, and they say, don't bring don't bring politics into my entertainment, but it's always been there. It's just in this you don't like in particular.
I mean, if anything, I would just look at it as like we're becoming more knowledgeable of it, and we'll start noticing it more the more you kind of keep informed or anything like that. Like the boys definitely did one of the best jobs of bringing politics into a show because it was such a great show, even though it had a lot of jabs at both sides of politics. So
Hmm.
it's kind of funny. But either way,
But
like I
yes.
said, what'd you think of that whole exchange between, you know, Din, Mayfield, and that officer when they're all having drinks together and Operation Cinder? Their little
Hmm.
cheers to that.
Yeah, that was what I was referring to in our non-spoiler part as probably my favorite, exchange of dialogue in this entire series so far. Just
Mine
because
too.
it reminded me so much of that bar scene in Inglorious Bastards where
I was literally about to say it's just very much a Glorious Bastards moment where they're just sitting having drinks and then
there's just tension, just this overbearing tension in the air the whole time.
yeah, with Mando's anxiety being without his helmet, and even he kind of was like Mayfield kind of brought him into that situation, so he's just like, what are we gonna do? Like, how do we get out of this? You know, we got to get out of here soon. And yeah, that just is like, oh, let's cheers to Operation Cinder, and then the officer's getting all happy. He's like, oh, this guy knows his history. That was a great job, wasn't it? Like, oh man, and that's when you saw Bill Burr's humanity really come out with this character, and
Hmm.
oh man, I can't praise him enough for that.
Yeah, just his like monologuing about what happened in Operation Cinder, how you can tell that's the reason why he defected from the Imperial Army because like he says like a lot of people died during that operation. Well, Operation Cinder, for those of you who don't know, it was introduced in the Star Wars Battlefront 2 game that come out like a couple of years ago, where essentially it was one of the orders that the Emperor left after he died, where essentially these satellites would just burn planets to like just completely demolish them. And yeah, that's what he references to there, that he was on the ground with his men, and they just activated it in order to win the war essentially. But they sacrificed so many of their own people. I think it said like 50,000, 10 to 50,000 people or something like of like their own
Yeah,
men.
something like
And
that.
just the way that the officer, treats it like, oh, just necessary sacrifices. Like we've outlasted them. We're fine. We shouldn't worry too much about that. But you can tell just by Bill Burr's like his great acting in this scene, which again I did not expect from Bill Burr. You can see that's just lived with him for a long time, and you can tell he has PTSD from that. Losing probably a lot of really good friends in during that operation, and to his own to his own side nonetheless. So again, just that exchange, I could tell, Bill Burr was just a boiling pot, just ready to explode. And then when it finally happened, I was like, oh my gosh, just that was so good.
Yeah, like he was not only was he talking about the officers, but I felt like he was also talking about the villagers on the
Yeah.
planets too, where it's just like, yeah, a lot of people died fighting for their homes and their families. Like that's a real sacrifice, isn't it? Like, and the officer is kind of keen to it. But he's like, yeah, that's part of it. Like that's what we gotta do. And oh, just the officer's little jab at the New Republic. Just wow, there's disarray. We grow stronger. Like we're gonna win. We're gonna take it back.
Yeah.
And again, I could just see Bill Burr's face, just like, oh, like you shut up right now, or before I kill you. And then when he just shot him, and they're like looking around, like other officers and troopers were like, "Oh shit!" I just
Uh-huh.
thought, "Oh man, this is gonna go off." And I love that scene with him where he gives the helmet back. He's like, "I didn't see your face. Just that's okay." Like I thought, damn, mad respect there, Bill Burr for Din Djarin there, and even Pedro Pascal really showed just the gratitude he had for him. Like, wow, I never would expect that from you, but thank you.
Hmm. Yeah, it was a very nice like payoff just to their interactions throughout this episode where, just for the first half of the episode, Bill Burr's just breaking his balls about, being a Mandalorian and being so like dogmatic to his helmet and stuff. So he was just jabbing at him the whole episode, and then just to have that moment, between them, hey, I didn't see your face. You can tell it's like, no, they've kind of formed like a bond, at least a little bit, in just their hatred for the Imperials and all that. And again, just a really good acting moment between Din and Mayfield. Again, like you said, Pedro Pascal. We don't get to see him a lot without his helmet, and the fact that we did here just for a little bit, and he didn't have a lot of dialogue when without his helmet on, but just his face acting that we haven't got to see for him just because he's covered the whole time. He does so much with so little, and just his interaction just in that conversation, you can tell everything that you need to know just by looking at his face. And again, that's just a credit to Pedro Pascal and his great acting.
I'm gonna put him up there with Tom Hardy's performance as Bane. Those are easily some of the best performances in cinematic history, strictly because their mouths and majority of their face are covered. Pedro Pascal's his whole face is covered because of the helmet, but all you need to hear is either in their voice or their eyes. And like man, like again, the shots and his voice dialogue is fantastic, whereas Tom Hardy's is more of his eyes. And they do such a great job at, again, like you said, showing so much with like doing so much without showing so little, or showing a little bit. And yeah, it's just, oh my god, fantastic acting in this scene. And again, it really just goes to show, without that helmet and that suit, Din Djarin really isn't the same. He just doesn't feel like himself because he's been part of the Death Watch so much. But again, the fact that he was able to sit without putting it back on in front of the other officer and Mayfield kind of goes to show it's like he did what he had to do, but he's also, maybe it's hinting like he'll be more comfortable without it. So he may abandon the Death Watch values, but still maintain, the Mandalorian creed that, I'll still be taking jobs here and there, but, around my son, I could take my helmet off kind of thing. We'll have to see.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
And again, just another great action piece near the end, but it was more of just the ending that where he kind of was like, "Yeah, all right, take me back, like behold mine of the bargain, like you guys would. So let's get this going." And Kara and him were just kind of like, "Well, oh, he didn't die. Like, what's to say he didn't die on this operation?" It's like, wait, what?
Hmm.
So I can go? It's like you're free, kind of thing. And he turned around again, like, "You're not gonna kill me, right?" Like.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a nice little comedic bit to alleviate from all the really heavy stuff in this episode. And it was just a good ending, and the whole okay, well now we got the coordinates from Moff Gideon's ship. Let's go get them. And that last little transmission to Moff Gideon's ship itself was crazy. I mean,
Hmm.
I didn't think much of it, but seeing Giancarlo Esposito's face when he saw it, like, how did you get this ship? Like, how do you know like where you are? And
Yeah.
he's just saying like, Grogu means more to me than anything. I'm coming for him and for you. And his face wasn't smiling like, all right, bring it. It was more like, shit.
Hmm.
Like as much as he taunts the Mandalorian and he's kind of been like eluding throughout this whole season, he's still just as now he's starting to realize like, shoot, this is gonna be rough.
Yeah, like he can tell like, oh man, I really pissed this guy off. And I like that too, just how Mando like threw his line from the first season back at him, that line that he means more to me than you could possibly know, or something. I forgot the actual line, but it was essentially this like, him throwing that line back at him, and in a way to him be like, I'm coming for you. Like it was like his taken moment. I will find you.
Exactly. I will kill you.
and I will kill you. Oh
I have a
God.
particular set of skills.
I have a particular sort of skill. Qui-Gon,
uh,
is that you?
but again, I definitely think, again, the acting with everyone in this show has just exceeded any expectations, in my opinion.
Hmm.
Because they could have just done it as like, it's Star Wars. We can make it cheesy like the old stuff, be kind of like that. But no, they really bring some, like, I would say Oscar potential acting to this. And it's a bummer that they haven't gotten recognized for stuff like that yet, or at least acting wise. But
Yeah, not acting, but they've won a lot of Emmys, so I'm glad at least the show is getting
yeah, but
recognized.
that's not the same. They need an Oscar. Oscar is a win. It's a
Oscars for
gold.
movies only.
It
Emmys is
should it
Oscars for
should be for
TV.
everything. Everything. This is basically a movie every week. I'm getting 8 movies out of this show. But yeah, like I said, man, as though even though I didn't expect this episode to go the way it went, it was still another one that delivered emotions, action, and just great dialogue, continuously great dialogue. So I can't wait for the next one. I just want a fight to go down between Moff and Din. Just finally finish it off. Beskar spear against the black saber, and just have at it. And Grogu, I hope, survives this season. We'll have to see what happens because
I know they're really setting up this last episode of the season to be pretty epic. So hopefully it ends well for everyone. But yeah, again, like I said, maybe because it's the end of the second season, it might not be such a happy ending.
I hope we do see Bo-Katan just because she does want the black saber. She did inquire about it in episode 3, and it would be nice to have another Mandalorian with them, with Boba and Din Djarin. So
Hmm.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed for that because with her tactical, expertise, Boba's little technical expertise, and just Mando being a force of nature, it's gonna be epic. I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too, and I think it definitely is going to be.
Oh man, but that'll do it for me this episode, ladies and gentlemen. If you stuck with us, please let us know what were your favorite moments of this episode and even this season so far. What do you think will happen in the finale of Mandalorian season 2? Because we'd love to hear it. We'd love to know your thoughts and your wishes, your dreams. You know, he knows all my hopes and dreams.
Oh my God.
Anything else you want to comment, Burn? Anything you want to shout out for this episode?
No, I mean, just if I'm going to say anything, just again, Rick Famuyiwa just does such a great job with the Star Wars property, and I hope he gets to do his own thing with it. So, if I could just throw that out there, that'd be nice to see.
Oh my God, yes, Rick Famuyiwa, please, Famu. How do you say it again, Rick
Famuyiwa?
Famuyiwa? God damn it, God Famuyiwa. I don't mean any disrespect. It's just hard to pronounce that name. I want to
Say
make
it
sure I
5
say it
times
right.
fast.
Famuyiwa, Famuyiwa. Gina Linetti confetti spaghetti. Say it again, faster. Gina Linetti confetti spaghetti. But again, like I said, Rick Famuyiwa keep directing shows. I hope they keep bringing back these directors, and I do want more directors to get the opportunity to show their talent on this show. But it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just keep these directors around, especially Bryce Dallas Howard, him, Deborah Chow. Has she done anything this season? I don't think she came back for this one.
No, she's not back for this one, but she's doing the Obi-Wan, so I think she's busy
Yeah,
with that.
she's probably busy with that. Yeah. But again, just keep doing the great work. Disney and Filoni, Favreau, all you guys. You guys are doing such a fantastic job. And from fans to you, we love you. And fantastic job. A plus, triple A plus. All right, man. But I'll talk to you later, and we'll definitely hear about the next episode next week.
No, man.
We'll talk about that soon.
Yeah, I'm excited. We're gonna see what happens. Ooh, I'll see you in the finale, my dude.
See you then, or see you another time.
I'm confused. Am I gonna see you for the finale or?
No. You're listening to me from now.
No, okay.
Peace out, man.
All right, man. You have a good one.